Hey guys, welcome back to the Real Relatable podcast. Today I have a special guest, Njavwa, who has always inspired me. She's a very emotionally intelligent, self-aware being. I thought it'd be great to talk to her today about friendship and life. As I'm starting to get closer with my friends, it's something new for me because I used to be so independent and self-focused and since high school and getting into adolescence that I felt like friends just weren't as important, I guess.
Oh,
I
I'm
don't
so glad we're having this conversation
Yeah.
because I think that we've switched roles.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to say.
Yeah.
That's basically what I wanted to say.
Wow,
Is that I
I'm
realize
blown
now
away.
that I have trouble with vulnerability a little bit. Like I'm getting closer to my friends and I realize how uncomfortable it is. Like it feels so nice and at the same time it's so uncomfortable because I have not been like this.
Yeah,
I've always
sharing things that you
Yeah.
maybe never shared. It's
Yes.
beautiful. It's a beautiful
Yeah.
experience, and I wouldn't trade it for anything. And I had a chance to develop some really meaningful relationships at the time that I was prioritizing friendship. Um, and right now in this season, I'm prioritizing myself.
Have you ever felt resentment towards your husband or your kids because you weren't prioritizing yourself?
Never.
That's great.
Literally never. My family always has come first, non-negotiable. And I do also think other aspects of your life are important. So I
Yeah.
always made time for friends, made time to pursue things outside of my family, but I wasn't really pursuing myself. I think that I've always wanted to find belonging and connection. And maybe it's because of my upbringing and feeling so alone for most
Mhm.
of my upbringing. And so that was really important to me to find belonging, connection.
Were you when you were young, were you the type of person that was obsessed with their friends? Like were you made your friends your family or
No. In fact, when I think about my childhood, I don't really see myself as somebody who had any friends because out of sight, out of mind. Like if I'm with
Okay.
you,
Mhm.
this is really great. This is so fun. But when I get home, I forgot.
It's like you dissociate.
Yeah,
It's
I
yeah.
disassociate.
Mhm.
And I think people are just so disposable to me. And I don't mean that in a
Yeah.
bad way. I think probably because I lost my parents so young,
Yeah.
I just don't really hold on to people.
Do you think that's like an abandonment issue? It's like a fear of getting close that they'll abandon you at some point?
I think maybe so, maybe to some degree for sure. But I just didn't know how to value relationship because a relationship with me, with people that were around, didn't feel like a relationship with me was valuable.
Did you feel like you weren't valuable to a relationship, or do you feel like they weren't valuable to a relationship? Isn't there's no
No,
point. You're
I
good.
wasn't valuable. That's
Okay.
what I mean.
Yeah.
So,
Do you think you're a good friend?
no. And
Really?
yes.
Okay.
I think in some ways,
Yeah.
maybe I am a good friend,
Hmm.
but in other ways, I'm not. Because, I've been thinking about this a lot lately, and I feel
Yeah.
like a big foundation of all relationships is your ability to resolve conflict.
Yes, I agree.
Huge.
I agree.
And in that area, I'm like, I just learned how to deal with conflict and not be afraid of it and not run away from it at the first instant of it happening.
Is that what you would normally do? Do you stonewall?
No, not like that.
Yeah.
It's more so if there's conflict between me and somebody, I make an attempt to resolve it. But if they're not in a place where they're ready to resolve it, you'll never hear from me again.
Okay.
Or if I come to you and you react in a way that's terrible, I'm not going to have grace to think that, they weren't ready or they also have their own stuff and we just need to try again.
So for you, it's kind of like a really bad argument could end a relationship forever for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And not that I want it to be that way, but
Yeah.
even if we talk about it, there's a part of my heart that's just not open to
reconnecting again in the same
in
way.
the same way. Yeah, because I just feel scared.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's what makes me a bad friend.
Also, you feel like you're communicating in the relationship to prevent a falling out, or do you communicate to that person when their strikes are going, or do they not even know and then it's like bye?
I think I just see I went through a period of time where I was just seeing the best in people.
Yeah.
And so when something would happen, I would be really shocked. I wouldn't
Hmm.
expect them to do that. And so it's hard to actually deal with what has happened.
Do you feel like you've gone through friendship trauma?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And probably given others friendship trauma too, to be
Yeah.
honest. Well, if I'm talking about currently, like I'm just
Hmm.
kind of focused on myself, which really sucks because I think a lot of what I value in myself as a friend is my ability to make time for others, plan events,
Yeah.
and like get together, have community, conversation, connection, and like knowing each other and
Yeah.
having them be part of your life, be around my kids,
Hmm.
and maybe me be around their family. Like those are things that I've valued in the past. And
Yeah.
because I'm so focused on myself, I feel like I'm not being a good friend. And there's people who maybe expect me to carry on being the type of friend that I've been. And
Okay.
so I might be disappointing people. I might not. I know like I have a few friends who've reached out to me pretty consistently to try to get together and hang out. And I haven't made the time. And not because I don't want to,
Yeah.
but I just feel like I'm not ready. Like I'm just really, really focused on myself. And I know before I would hang out with my friends pretty often.
Hmm.
And if you have friends who aren't friends with each other, then it's like, how many days of the week can you really allot to hanging out with friends when you have a family, when you have a job,
Yes.
when you have aspirations,
Yeah.
when you want to focus on yourself, right?
Yeah.
And so I just kind of got overwhelmed and just was like,
Well,
I
think
to
it's
just
tough
stop.
when you and your friends aren't at the same place in life at the same time,
Yeah.
and you guys are all going through different things. So it's like, yeah, you all have love for each other, but it doesn't mean like you can grow with each other through whatever periods you're each going through
Yeah.
individually, right?
Yeah.
So,
And I think I did my best to continue developing my friendships, even though maybe my friends
and you were
didn't
like
have kids at the time.
yeah, you were
And
first mom in your circle, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
So I think I did my best at living in both worlds.
Yeah.
Um,
Do you think though, the time that you spend with your friends, do you feel like you sacrificed from your family?
in a sense, yeah, I
Yeah.
think so. But I mean, my friends are important as well. I think I'm learning how to balance it better where it benefits me and my family more now.
What do you think that would look like ideally? Like, how often would you be seeing your friends a year?
I am trying to answer that question for myself right
Yeah.
now because I feel so bad for missing so much of their lives and not being part of their lives the way that they were maybe part of mine with certain milestones.
So maybe it is all just seasons. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
that's
like
what I'm
even
hoping, that it's just a
yeah.
season, and like when I'm out of this season, I will feel better and I'll have like a clearer vision of the type of friend I want to be. And I'm
Yeah.
hoping that my friends that I care about will understand once we're able to like actually talk about everything.
Learning about how to be a friend, right? Or just even learning about
Yeah.
your communication style or learning about how you are through
Yeah.
conflict, just all these different things. And
Mhm.
say you're learning all those things, but some of your friends are still
Yeah.
like that has not clicked
Yeah.
yet. You know what I
And I
mean?
think what
Yeah.
triggered everything for me was somebody who I'd been friends with for quite some time, and we were developing a deeper relationship at this point. I actively, on purpose, like because I'm pretty purposeful with the things that I do, I made a commitment that this was a friend in this year that I was going to actively prioritize.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so we were just a couple months into the year, and basically our fallout, I don't really see it as a fallout. Like, I don't hate her, and
Mm-hmm.
I very much doubt that she hates me, but she had some really big feelings about me and things that she perceived that I had done, and she was totally wrong. Like, this is somebody who I actually really cared about.
Yeah.
And when she came forward to express these feelings, it was not in a mature way,
Yeah.
but
Like you felt attacked?
no, not at all, actually.
Okay.
I was so removed from it. I just saw it as like my friend is really struggling emotionally right now, and I want to do my best to be there for her. So I actually went over to her house. She lives out of the city, so I drove like literally almost an hour out of the city. I bought her flowers and a card, and I was like, you know what? We're going to talk about this.
Yeah.
And I brought a friend with me that she's also friends with that I thought this is great. She can probably mediate and like everything will be fine. And this was scary for me because I was like, I just want to see what's on the other side of like trying. And,
but you
like,
were going into it really positive. I mean,
I
getting her a gift,
I really thought that this would like
bringing someone in case it got
our friendship even further, for her to be reassured that like I really do care about you. So I get there, and I guess she was not in a space to want to talk, right? So she pretty much laughed in my face. Like, she was not open to chatting. I couldn't even get a word in. And she was just so convinced that what she thought had occurred, and there was no discussing it. And that's how I like left and went home. And she had reached out to me at some point saying like, oh, we should get together and chat. But my heart was already
You didn't want
afraid.
to anymore.
I literally was so afraid.
Like, you put yourself out there already.
Yeah. And I started having thoughts about all the time and energy I spent into wanting to be her friend, into wanting to develop our friendship. And I'm not saying I spent this whole lot. I'm just saying like the time that I did spend, even driving there, driving back, I was like, oh my gosh, like I could have been drawing with my son. I could have been getting to know my niece and my nephews better.
All the time being anxious about it.
And so like that really opened my eyes to like what is important to me. Like where do I want to put my time and my energy? And it's not to knock anybody off that like I'm close to or I'm friends with, but I really struggled with this to be like, who else might secretly not like me, but I'm like there making my effort and putting in my time and my energy. And it just like actually scared me that like I don't, like, life is short, but it's long, but it's short. And my kids, like especially my older one, is the age I was when I lost my parents. And so I was like, if today was my last day and
I lost it because I went out there to go bring somebody flowers who laughed in my face.
So like that is really.
Can I challenge you for a second?
Yes,
though?
Of course. And I've thought about it now, and I know that like that's a fear. And not necessarily like what should drive me away from wanting for friendship. I know that now, but I just became so afraid.
What if we got to a point of looking at it super, super objectively, like no feelings in it, okay? It's not your personal feelings. And thinking about, as you were saying, how hard that was for you to go there and do that, put your feelings out on the line, and then she laughed in your face. And that's horrible, right? But this is somebody you say that you love, right? And you felt like loves you, right? And it felt like in that moment you felt disappointed and you felt betrayed. However, giving the benefit of the doubt, what if that person also has a difficulty with their feelings? And difficulty expressing their feelings and being vulnerable. So maybe later, maybe after you left, they thought, I'm a piece of shit. Like, why did I do that? Like, I didn't want to do that. Like, what I really would have said was, whatever their heart would have said, not their ego, So sometimes it's hard. And so that friend may have thought later, felt bad about it. But I get it. It's like, but you're hurt now. So how do you both heal? Both people have to like.
I think I'm like in a better place now when it comes to how I think about that situation. But it did scare me, and it snowballed a lot of other things afterwards. We'll talk still, and I still have love for them, and if we see each other, we still talk. There's no like hurt anything.
So what you're saying is nobody can get time with you. I'm very lucky right now.
I think it's what's the pettiest friend way you've ended a friendship or something. And it was actually the friend that I was telling you, but that's how that's who I thought of.
I didn't think that was petty though.
I think, to me, in my standard for myself, not being friends with somebody because they've expressed their emotions and have had big feelings is petty to me now, based on my standards. It's not the same as like, so they never respond to my text or they didn't come to my birthday. Those are the truly petty things. But for me and my standard going forward, like if you share a big feeling with me, that's not going to be a reason for you to think that we're never going to be friends. Like, it's okay. I would rather somebody share their big feelings, because then I know it's an honest relationship. This is the type of friendship where I'm going to have to keep putting my feelings aside to make them feel more comfortable about what they had done.
Yes, because they want to feel better.
Because I just assumed I'm feeling disappointed. I'm not going to make you hold my disappointment for me or put that on you. You did this. And I said, whatever you are feeling about me being disappointed, you're going to have to deal with that. I'm not going to be responsible for how you feel or try to make you more comfortable because you're uncomfortable that you've disappointed me. Right?
Yeah. I feel like you and your friends all need to go take shrooms and go to a cabin and sort out your issues. Because I feel like, and obviously I don't ever advocate for drugs, but I just feel like everybody needs to put their egos down.
Yeah.
And just like open their hearts.
Of course.
You know? Because like, what's the point of even, like, what's the point?
There's no point. Like, literally, it doesn't even matter.
And you know what? I think that's a part of like my lack of vulnerability in a way, which I think is so funny because I think I'm like such a vulnerable person, so expressive. So it's like I realize when it comes to real relationships, I can lack vulnerability.
Yeah. And when it matters.
And I notice I don't fight with my friends. But the reason I don't fight with my friends is because I don't get close enough to fight with them.
Yeah.
If once I start to get close enough to the point where I might start getting mad at them, I pull away.
Yeah. I can relate to that.
I'm a low maintenance friend. I'm super chill. I'm super cool. I try to notice things. I try to communicate things. I try not to have resentment. But then I also try not to be so overly invested that I have resentment. You know what I mean? Like, I always try to think of my friends as like, I don't want to add any stress in their life, and I don't want them to add any stress in my life. Whenever we're together, we should be having the time of our lives. Like, every time we're together, it should just be the best time. And even if we are like venting and whatever, that's cool. That's totally fine. But I just don't want, like, I don't want drama either. I feel like the only people that can get away with drama is like family.
That's what I always used to think too. Like, the only person I'm willing to go through this conflict resolution is my kids, my man, my siblings. But I don't know. I don't think that's the case. I think there should be room for like one or two friends that you can like continue to resolve things with if they come up. And what I've found after I've learned to resolve conflict, especially like in my relationship, things that like I just don't have the conflict anymore. It's just different when things come up that maybe would have been conflict in the past.
Maybe because they're expressed finally.
Yeah, they're just conversations. And like sometimes they do have some emotion to them, but you're trusting that the other person cares about it and it's going to be fine. It's not a thing that's going to end the relationship or end the friendship per se.
I feel like a lot of like issues I had in the past, like why I've not had friends, is because of well, I think it's this too. I think I've had friends. It's weird. I've gone back and forth because like starting out, I had very invested friends, and I was also very invested, which means we're hanging out 24/7 every day after school. We're together. We're on the phone. We're in group chats, MSN, everything, right? And then as I go older, I switched to like club friends, like very low maintenance friends, like not invested at all. So like, yeah, we see each other and we hang out often, but you might ditch me tonight to go hang out with some guy or to go to a better
and you're
party.
Be totally fine with it.
Yes, yes. But the thing is I had to learn like the difference and like that not every friend is something for everything. You know what I mean? Yeah, because I had friends that were so invested. Now when I had these other friends that weren't as invested, I would get a little bit offended because they weren't showing me as much care and compassion as like some of my more invested friends. So it's like you have to learn the difference. Like, and I have some friends now, like the friends that I have now today, I can do everything with. I can go to the club. We can hang on my couch and watch TV. We can make a podcast video.
That's how I feel about some of my friends too. We can do pretty much anything.
Yeah, because the other people that were just for one thing, one phase of my life or something, you know, like when I worked at this place, when I went to school here, when I was in my clubbing phase, those people are part of my story, and there's still love for them, of course, but we just like we don't resonate the same as we did then.
before,
And
yeah.
yeah, during those environments and experiences and whatnot. And the last friend I made was also the last friend I also cut off, which is funny because I think I made it because
Why are we living the same life?
because I realized that like I wasn't making friends. I realized, okay, like I'm so guarded. All my friends are my childhood friends. Like what's wrong with me? Like I can't open up to new people. I can only open up to the people that I already opened it up to before I knew anything.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, trusting new people is really hard.
It is hard.
And you're more hyper vigilant to certain things about people that maybe when you first met your other friends, it's like you weren't thinking about.
Yes.
Like
you were like more naive and gullible and like open.
Yeah, and there was just less things that you had to vet for. Like right now, are you really gonna be friends with somebody who okay, I'm not, are you gonna make a new friend who maybe isn't doing much in their life right now?
No, probably not. No.
Right?
I don't even like anyone who doesn't have a. Okay, this sounds horrible because it's like, oh, I only hang with people who have a similar mindset as me. But I only prioritize those people, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's about how you prioritize your time and not necessarily like you can't be friends with certain people. But I definitely have a hard time being friends with somebody who requires a lot of me.
Yeah. Me too.
I don't have the ability to do that. Or to share everything.
Yeah.
To call you.
Oh, yeah. No.
I don't judge somebody for being that way.
Yeah.
I find it endearing sometimes.
I think if you
really
don't have family and you don't have a partner, I think it's okay.
I think it is okay,
yeah,
and I actually find it endearing. But I always feel like, oh my god, I'm never gonna be good enough for this person.
Yeah,
because what they're looking for in friendship, I do not have it.
Yeah,
yeah, and that was kind of what my last falling out with a friend was.
So we're so happy to have Njavwa today, share her experiences and to talk about friendship. I hope that you were able to find something valuable to you or that you were able to resonate with something that she said today. And hopefully we'll have her back on the channel.
I would love to be invited back.
Bye.
Bye.